Have you ever noticed something strange about social situations? In almost every group, in every classroom, in every workplace, there is always one person who speaks less than everyone else. They sit quietly. They observe more than they talk. They rarely interrupt conversations. And because of that, people often underestimate them. Some assume they are shy. Others think they lack confidence. Some even believe they have nothing important to say. But psychology reveals something fascinating. In many situations, the quietest person in the room is often the one who understands the most. Because silence does not always mean absence. Sometimes, silence means observation. Sometimes, silence means thinking. And sometimes, silence means someone is carefully studying everything that is happening around them. While others compete to speak, quiet minds compete to understand. Quiet people often develop something psychologists call an observer mindset. When someone talks less, their attention naturally shifts outward. Instead of focusing on what they will say next, their brain focuses on gathering information. They notice things others miss. A slight hesitation in someone's voice. A nervous smile that doesn't match their words. A change in body language when a sensitive topic appears. These tiny signals are part of what psychologists call nonverbal communication. And interestingly, more than 70% of human communication is nonverbal. But most people miss these signals. Why? Because they are busy talking. Quiet individuals, on the other hand, spend more time watching. And over time, this builds a powerful skill, pattern recognition. They begin to understand people not just by what they say, but by what they repeatedly do. And patterns rarely lie. Another defining characteristic of quiet personalities is deep thinking. While some people react instantly to situations, quiet individuals tend to process information internally before responding. Their mind moves through multiple layers of thought. Instead of asking just one question, they ask many. Why did that person react that way? What emotion is hiding behind those words? What would happen if the situation changed? Neuroscience even suggests that reflective thinkers often show increased activity in something called the default mode network. This part of the brain becomes active during introspection, imagination, and deep mental processing. In other words, when a quiet person appears silent, their brain may actually be extremely active. Their thoughts are exploring possibilities, analyzing motives, and constructing meaning. Insight rarely appears in loud environments. It often appears in moments of silence. Because quiet individuals observe people so closely, they often develop strong emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and respond to emotions, both in ourselves and in others. Quiet observers often become highly sensitive to emotional signals. They notice when someone is uncomfortable in a conversation. They recognize when someone is pretending to be happy. They sense tension long before others realize it exists. Psychologists refer to this ability as emotional attunement. It allows someone to detect feelings even when they are not spoken. For this reason, quiet individuals often become exceptional listeners. People feel comfortable sharing personal thoughts with them, not because quiet individuals talk a lot, but because they listen without judgment. And in a world where most people are waiting for their turn to speak, a person who truly listens becomes incredibly rare. Despite these strengths, quiet personalities are often misunderstood. Modern society tends to reward extroversion. People who speak loudly are often seen as confident. People who respond quickly are often perceived as intelligent. But this perception is not always accurate. Speaking quickly does not necessarily mean thinking deeply. Sometimes it simply means reacting impulsively. Quiet individuals often prefer a different approach. They take time to think. They analyze multiple perspectives. They carefully choose their words. But in fast-paced environments, this thoughtful behavior can be misinterpreted as hesitation. Silence becomes mistaken for weakness, when in reality, it may represent discipline. Silence also carries another powerful advantage: strategic communication. When someone speaks constantly, their words often lose impact. But when someone speaks rarely, their words gain significance. Psychologists sometimes call this the scarcity effect. Things that appear less frequently become more valuable. This principle applies not only to objects, but also to communication. When a quiet individual finally shares an opinion, people often listen more carefully. Because their words are not lost in constant noise. They are delivered with intention, and intention creates influence. Many quiet individuals possess incredibly rich internal worlds. They spend time reflecting on life, relationships, and meaning. They think deeply about human behavior. They analyze motivations, fears, and emotional patterns. Throughout history, many philosophers, writers, and scientists have shared this introspective personality, not because they avoided the world, but because they tried to understand it more deeply. Silence gave them space. Space to think. Space to question. Space to explore ideas others ignored. And sometimes the greatest discoveries begin not with loud debate, but with quiet contemplation.